Hello everyone and welcome back to The Blitz, your weekly high school football show covering all things football in Lorain County, brought to you by First Federal Savings of Lorain. I'm Marissa McNeese with the Chronicle Telegram, of course back with my partner behind the camera, Kristen Bauer, and we are here this week to talk some more playoff football. We have teams who have advanced, teams who this week got knocked out of the postseason, and unfortunately, teams who have now been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. And that's where we're going to start this week. Two teams in Lorain County impacted in different ways by COVID-19. Now, as we have learned during this pandemic, things are constantly changing. The news is moving so quickly. And after filming last week's show, we got word just hours after Avon's game against North Olmsted, a second-round playoff game in Division II, was canceled due to a player on North Olmsted testing positive for COVID-19. Now, after some additional contact tracing by the Cuyahoga County Health Department, it was determined that 9 other students and 2 additional staff members were positive for COVID-19 at North Olmsted, and the district made the decision to cancel the rest of the football season, leaving Avon without an opponent for its second-round game. Of course, the Eagles, the #1 seed in Division II, Region 6, had a first-round bye already. So to avoid sitting yet another week, to avoid maybe getting a little bit rusty, the Eagles and Coach Mike Elder scheduled a regular season game with Perrysburg, who also did not have an opponent in Week 2. Eagles coming up big 40-20 in that regular season game, getting some extra practice before they finally play their first playoff game in Week 3 for a chance to go on to the regional semifinals. They are now 7-0 on the season and will play #8 Medina Highland in a playoff game this Friday. Again, the Eagles' first playoff game all season after a bye in the first round and a no contest in the second round. Unfortunately, North Olmsted was not the only team in our area to cancel its football season. One of our own Lorain County teams, Illiana Catholic, forced to suspend football operations for at least 2 weeks after last Thursday, a few players developing symptoms of COVID-19 and then confirmed 2 players testing positive last week. The Panthers forfeit their second-round game against Oak Harbor. Of course, they had a first-round bye as the #4 seed in that region, but forfeiting to Oak Harbor, who automatically advances to the next round. Meanwhile, Illiana Catholic having to suspend football for 2 weeks. The Panthers can come back after those 2 weeks, pending no new positive tests. They can play regular season games. However, the Panthers' chance at a postseason run coming to an abrupt end due to COVID-19. That's all for the bad news this week. Of course, we wish everyone in the North Olmsted program, Illiana Catholic, every program, everybody affected by COVID-19, we wish them well. We wish them a speedy recovery. And now it's time to recap the second week of the 2020 postseason. Let's start with Avon Lake, another team with a first-round bye. Of course, the Shoremen, the #3 seed in Division II, Region 6. That's the same region with rival Avon. The Shoremen, though, a huge 30-7 win over Wadsworth. And of course, it would not be an Avon Lake football game without mentioning a huge defensive performance. Senior safety Billy Simpson with 3 interceptions off of Wadsworth quarterback Mitchell Evans. All of those in the first half, and not to mention Nathan Sakalo's 53-yard pick 6 to ice the game for Avon Lake, seal the win as they advance in the postseason. Now, all of that defensive momentum certainly carried over to the offense. The Shoremen outgained Wadsworth 382-200 and now face North Royalton for a chance to advance to the Division II regional semifinals. North Royalton, of course, the #22 seed in the region, but not a team to be slept on. They beat Amherst, of course, 2 upsets in a row. Amherst in triple overtime in the opening round, and then last week beating Olmsted Falls in 2 overtimes to advance to take on Avon Lake this week. Let's move things over to the Lorain County League, where a couple of our teams had big victories this week. number 10 Firelands, a huge 21-20 upset over number 7 Napoleon. Now, a number 10 over a number 7 doesn't quite seem like a huge upset, but if you'll remember, Firelands winning just its first ever playoff game last week, winning again this week, keeping that momentum going, advancing to the third round. Now, there were plenty of big plays. We had a 56-yard touchdown run from Donald Crawford, a 43-yard score from Kyle Ransom. But it turns out it was special teams that made the difference in this game. Caden Bomback converting all 3 extra point attempts for the Falcons, while Napoleon, with a chance to tie the game early in the fourth quarter, bobbles the hold on the extra point attempt. The 2-point play falls dead, and the Falcons maintain a 21-20 lead the rest of the way. Napoleon not able to get anything going on its final drive. Of course, like we said, Firelands winning its first ever playoff game last week. This is now what we can say the biggest win in program history. They now take on number 2 Shelby this Saturday for a chance to advance in the Division IV playoffs. Another Lorain County League team making history this week, a team we've talked about so much this season, and rightfully so. The Keystone Wildcats winning 46-27 over Edison, another program picking up its first ever postseason victory. It's a program that has been around for 60 years, just now getting its first ever playoff victory. It's a huge win for the Wildcats. Now, obviously, football, a team sport, you can't win it without everybody getting involved. However, we would be doing this player a disservice if we did not mention the incredible performance he had this week against Edison, another player we've mentioned before, and Coach Don Griswold after the game called him a man playing amongst boys. Junior Gideon Lampron, 301 yards rushing with 5 touchdowns, 3 of those touchdowns and 220 yards in the first half alone. He has been incredible all season for the Wildcats and continues to assert his dominance as the postseason continues. Keystone, now undefeated still, 7-0, and will host Van Wert this Saturday. Okay, we're gonna stick around the Lorain County League for this one, unfortunately, with not as positive of a result. Columbia falls 28-7 to Mogador in their second round playoff game. Of course, the Raiders, a huge win over Black River in the first round, a team that had some slip-ups early, started the season 0-2, and really just trended upward as the season progressed. Falls to Mogador. It's a rematch of the Raiders' last playoff game in 2018 where they faced Mogador. This time they avoid a shutout. Andrew Champagne with an 8-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. It's their only score in that game, and unfortunately brings the Raiders season to an end. They finish 5-3 and are looking to play some regular season games. Remember, as these teams lose because of the shortened season and because of the rule changes during the pandemic, teams are able to schedule regular season games if they fall out of the playoffs. So Columbia still looking for some regular season games, still wanting to get some playing time, but finishes officially at 5-3. Okay, it is everybody's favorite segment. We have to name a First Federal Savings of Lorain Team of the Week. Handful of teams winning this week, but we're going to keep it on the theme of history making. We picked Firelands last week, the Falcons winning their first ever playoff game. So we had to do it again this week. Our First Federal Savings of Lorain Team of the Week goes to the Keystone Wildcats for winning their first ever playoff game in a 60-year program history, behind a stellar performance from Gideon Lampron and a really overall solid turnout from the Wildcats. They continue their playoff push this week against Van Wert, but this week the Wildcats are our First Federal Savings of Lorain Team of the Week. That'll do it for our recap of the second round of the Ohio High School Football Playoffs. Let's look ahead and see where you can find your favorite teams on WEOL this week. Starting on Friday, we have Medina Highland at Avon on the radio, on Stream 1, WEOL, and WEOL.com. On Stream 2, we have North Royalton traveling to Avon Lake, and our Medina County matchup this week on Stream 3, WEOL.com, is Medina taking on St. Ignatius. If you didn't listen to Medina's huge win over St. Edward last week, you missed out. A great game from Medina. Certainly going to be another good one this week against St. Ignatius. Now on Saturday, we have a couple games for you as well. Van Wert at Keystone will be on the radio, WEOL, and WEOL.com, Stream 1. And Firelands at Shelby will be your Stream 2 game on WEOL.com. That'll do it for our Week 2 playoff recap here at the Blitz. Stick with us at the Chronicle Telegram. Pick up your copy every day. Find us at chroniclet.com, on WEOL, listen on the radio, or WEOL.com. We will do our best to bring you the latest information as the playoffs develop. But until then, we'll see you next week.